All right, let's talk about social media censorship. So social media companies have been going to great length over the past few years to censor speech. And there was a lot of concern, that when Jack Dorsey stepped down as CEO of Twitter, even though, of course, he took President Trump off of the platform and did his own round of censorship, that at least he was at some point a level-headed CEO. And the concern when Jack Dorsey left was, holy smokes, the cat is out of the bag. Pandora's box is open. Any other idioms we can think of, that censorship at Twitter is just going to accelerate. And lo and behold, it certainly has over the past month or so since he's left. But also we're getting a look at what lengths Facebook goes to censor content. John Stossel, in fact, sued Facebook. John Stossel, my old friend and co-worker at Fox, a longtime ABC News veteran.
I've watched him for years.
Like he's a funny guy. Like he's a little awkward personally. Like as a personal friend, I would say he's a little wacky. But
don't look at me. I'm not going to help you with that statement.
Anyway, I mean, I've hung out at John Stossel's house, and then like we both have actually. And he's a funny guy, and he's very focused on this type of overreach by these companies, and squashing speech. And so he sued Facebook because they censored him. And so here's what he had to say on that issue about what he uncovered when he sued Facebook. Take a listen to John Stossel's piece on Facebook.
Accuse all of us of spreading misinformation. But really,
the people guilty of spreading misinformation are Facebook and its fact checkers.
To do the fact checking, Facebook partners with groups like these, all of them approved by something called the Poynter Institute. It calls itself a global leader in journalism and claims it has
a commitment to nonpartisanship and fairness.
But they're hardly nonpartisan. Just look at their website. Their eagerness to honor left-leaning reporters and their push to decolonize the media and change language shows their leftist bias. Poynter once even apologized after it tried to blacklist conservative news sites. Yet absurdly, this is who Facebook partners with to certify who will censor.
So
he had to sue to get that information.
Right, because what came out at the trial, Facebook then basically said, hey, these fact checkers that we've now employed, that we say that we are checking your facts. Turns out these fact checkers, Facebook admitted during trial, are opinion-based fact checkers.
So there were
my friend.
Go ahead. I
was going to say, my friend who's an investigative journalist, Ben Swan, he had a lot of his posts taken down, and he cited all his sources and his research and data in his post just for that reason. And then when he tried to fight it, the fact checkers had no sources to cite back to him. They just said it was misinformation. Even though he shared study after study with them, they didn't care.
Yeah.
Well, the two videos at hand for the John Stossel trial were one about climate change as it relates to the wildfires, and the other, I can't remember at this point, but they both said that after they had sent these to actual fact checkers, none of these organizations found anything wrong. They just didn't like their tone. So Facebook reserves the right to take down information under this fact checker label or umbrella, but really it's because the tone wasn't liberal enough, I suppose.
Right.
They didn't like it and they took it down, and they say we reserve the right to do so because we are opinion based.
Right. So it's opinion. So what you're saying is, so it's the facts according to us, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like the no shirt, no shoes, no service. It's like it's at their discretion.
Right.
It's like, you might have flip-flops on. We can still see your feet, but we'll let you in.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, it's just arbitrary.
Yeah. Interestingly, when the lawsuit was brought, Facebook asked for it to be dismissed under Section 230 of the Communications Dependency Act, which protects them from liability for material posted to the platform. But what was at issue was their posting, not something. So they are not supposed to be sued for something someone else posts, right? But they posted it. So why would they think that they should be shielded from their own posting? Meaning that they are impervious? They're God?
I guess they are God. I mean, and this is why, I've been doing stories on my other YouTube channel on youtube.com/Clayton Morris about Web 3.0, the rise of the metaverse, exactly, but Web 3 specifically, because a decentralized internet where you don't have Google, Amazon, or Facebook running the web, right? The whole point of Web 3.0 is the idea that the internet could be disintermediated, separated from these big tech giants, and in the hands of the people. So you'd have an internet where without Google censoring what you search or telling you where to go, and YouTube pulling videos every day we do this show. I get done with the show and there's some issue, like YouTube has flagged something that we've said in the show, some issue with our show. Every day there's something. And I mean, it just continues relentlessly. And so that's where this media, words are in the hand of big media right now.
Well, and I shared a meme that was a thing of hot dogs that was the Oscar Mayer Halloweenies, and it was like black licorice hot dogs. It was a joke, a meme, and they took it down as false information.
I got into Facebook jail once because someone of my friends said they loved the movie French Kiss with Meg Ryan. And I put in the comment section a quote from the movie, "All men are B-A," you know the word. I'm not going to say it.
Okay, don't say it because we'll get flagged.
And I just wrote it because it was a quote from the movie. It was my favorite line. And I got flagged for a week. I couldn't post. And I was like, can you look at this in context? I'm not saying all men are those things. I'm saying that's the line from the movie, meaning yeah, girl, I like it too. And I'm in Facebook jail. So stupid.
Well, the New York Post this morning has an inside look at the hypocrisy of these media manipulators. There's George Soros. I don't know if we didn't cover it here on the show. I didn't have space for it a few weeks ago, but they're launching this new disinformation media source, George Soros, spending $65 million to launch this newly organized Project for Good Information. George Soros is going to fight fake news wherever it roams. As Recode reported, the group's marketing materials claim, quote, "Traditional media is failing. Disinformation is flourishing. It's time for a new kind of media." So it's run by a Democratic operative whose company acronym created the app that bungled the Iowa Democratic caucuses back in November 2020. Remember that? Or back in the 2020
Pete Buttigieg
collapse.
was part of that app.
Oh, what a disaster. So that's who's going to run this thing? But now, so $65 million to blast disinformation. Thank you, George Soros. We now know we're going to go after this disinformation thanks to these billionaires.
I have to think about this John Stossel case, that he said specifically that the government was partly to blame for these wildfires. And Facebook took it down. Now, the government and Facebook pretend that they are not best buds, but they are. Mm-hmm. The government absolutely wants consolidated power in the hands of fewer companies. In fact, Mark Zuckerberg famously wrote that he welcomed more regulation and higher minimum wage, which what does that do? It squashes his competition, right? So he supports anything that will make it harder for small businesses to compete with him. So the two of them are like this. So of course, Facebook's going to take down anything that has any government. I'm not saying the government's to blame for wildfires, but John Stossel absolutely has the right to be critical of the way the government handled them. And you also can make the point that climate change is a result of government mismanagement. I don't care what the point is here. I'm not going to make his point. I'm going to say he has the right to say it. And it's interesting that Facebook then is taking the government line here.
Well, and President Trump's I'm not siding with President Trump, but President Trump, the president of the United States, specifically criticized California's government and mismanagement of wildfires and forestry. Of course, then there was the criticism that, well, a lot of this was federal land. So it's not California, it's federal government underneath President Trump. But government, regardless, state or federal, it doesn't matter for mismanagement of our forests, right? So it's a discussion worth having, but Facebook then can pull that down. Well, we're seeing some of this already on Twitter, by the way. By the way, the other day I was on Twitter and we were talking about war, right, here on the show, and how these media companies thrive off of war, right? That's how they make their money. So they want war. They absolutely want a war in Ukraine. And what did I see? But I saw a Washington Post tweet that said war coming to Ukraine, 180,000 troops, like war imminent. It was a Washington Post tweet. But guess what? It was a promoted tweet. So Washington Post paid ad dollars to Twitter to promote their war tweet. Like it was promoted at the bottom. Like they paid ad to promote their war tweet. And then now Twitter has added this new feature where if you're reading a conversation about a potentially controversial topic, they will put this little flag at the bottom. Some conversations can get heavy. Don't forget the human behind the screen.
What does that mean?
Well,
Be
and have you
nice to
gotten the
them?
one-
I don't even know. I mean, this is a Glenn Greenwald, who's a great journalist, tweet about Oliver Stone's new documentary about JFK. And so they flagged it.
Have you ever
Okay.
gotten that thing yet where like I was doing a post and I said, because somebody said something and I just used the STFU and it says, "Are you really sure you want to say that?" I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. Wouldn't have typed it otherwise.
Right. Yeah. I haven't had that happen yet because I don't type those types of things. No, I'm just kidding. I would.
Yes, you do. There have been plenty of times where Clayton posts something and I think it's too aggressive. I'm like, honey, come on. Do you want to be that guy?
Who are you yelling at on Twitter? I'm
Right.
like, okay. Yeah. Like here's the tweet
I do censorship in my own household of my husband's social network.
That's true. Look at this. So this is the
You could be a
tweet.
fact checker.
This is the Washington Post tweet. U.S. warns offensive against Ukraine as soon as early next year. 175,000 troops promoted.
Wonder how much of the war, but like maybe that was a subsidized post from us.
Right.
Very well could be.
Exactly. But, this is the way that the media operates. And so this is why I'm so encouraged by the idea of a decentralized internet, a Web 3.0,
Yeah.
getting it out of the hands of these few media elites.
Well, keep in mind, Build Back Better will really help these media companies by giving them major tax breaks. So you guys, more of that coming your way to a
Good.
screen near you.